If you've ever spent a majority of the weekend thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for the market to open, then you'd be a trader that should be on live trading. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome back. What a crazy weekend. We are going to break everything down. We have a job here today, and that job is to make money. I'm glad all of you have shown up. Let's get it.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks. Good morning. Happy Monday, and welcome back to another episode of Live Trading. I am your host, Ryan Faloona, and I got my main man, 13, in the back. 13, how are you doing here this morning?
I'm doing pretty good this morning. I've been up for a while, so just kind of getting an early start on the markets. Looks like we're going to have a lot of things regarding Trump and Bitcoin to talk about. So let's get into it.
Indeed we are. I'll be honest, I don't know about all you folks, but I felt like I didn't really get a whole lot of good sleep this week for varying reasons. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here. So we're definitely, obviously, it's incredibly sad to see what took place over the weekend. What we're not going to do here is we're not going to make any speculations outside of our market here. The reality is that we have got a number of tickers that are going to serve as trading vehicles here today, and we are absolutely going to be taking a look at them in real time. We're going to start breaking those down here. We can try to get you as prepared as possible for some of those. But as we always do, we're going to set the stage by talking about the SPY first. So let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY here. 13, I'm also going to tie Bitcoin into this because you made a really good point about Bitcoin really becoming active this weekend after trading down pretty significantly. So I think it's fair to ask what the next long-term move is going to be here. And there are absolutely stocks that we can take a look at and then take advantage of this move. So I think that's a really prudent thing to do here. Now, with the overall market here, SPY is actually drifting a little bit higher. I know a lot happened over the weekend, so let's take a look and just as kind of a refresher on how Friday went. Friday, the SPY was pretty much straight up. We had one little regression back to the mean move during the lunch hour before resuming the uptrend. And we had a little bit of a sell-off that gave some of that back right into the close. However, we are drifting a little bit higher here today. It's currently got the SPY here at 561.92. And given everything that happened over the course of the weekend, I think we're extremely lucky. I think if that had gone a different way, this would be down, probably limit down here this morning, and we'd have a gigantic mess on our hands. So as far as where this goes, looking at this here today, the only two levels that I really want to see what happens with here on the SPY are going to be the highs from Friday. Do we end up taking those out and move higher? Or do we really kind of come back in and completely erase this move that we did on Friday? I'll make a judgment on what's happening if that happens. We'll see where we end up going here. Now, 13, you got any thoughts here on SPY and where we go?
Well, I thought your point about, the other side of the coin would be that the SPY would be completely selling off because, as we've discussed previously, the market has been pricing in a Trump presidency for some time. Yep. So him out of the picture would definitely lead to some serious downside in the SPY. So we didn't get that. Fortunately, we still have, presidential race between two contenders. Very, very happy about that. Very disgusted what happened over the weekend. Let's move on and let's make some money. For the SPY, I think that we need to be mindful that we did not break out into new pre-market highs. We're still very much within the range we were in over last week. I'm going to be watching for a breakout for a new all-time high. That's what I would have expected to happen a little bit sooner than now. So if we get that through intraday trading, then that would make sense to me. If we don't, I'm going to be looking for the price to be trading within a range with the lows of around 555 and the highs being the previous the all-time high that we put in, which is 563.66 or 67.
67. And that is that high that we made on Friday.
Yeah, so that's the range I'm looking at right now. I think we may end up trading in between that unless some other news catalyst comes out or some other information. Keep in mind that we do have the Republican National Convention starting this week. And we also have the third plenum over in China also beginning this week, which can also have some major implications for global markets if they decide to cut rates over there. So.
Okay, really good stuff with the third plenum. I'll be honest, I've been relying, I know we both rely on one of the gentlemen from Happy Hour that actually lives in Asia that delivers a lot of that information for us. So it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. The other thing about the convention that starts today, culminates on Thursday with the VP pick, likely to see headlines come out this week, and that is almost certainly going to affect the DJT and related stocks, as well as the broader market. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about it. I guess you could call it the elephant in the room, right? This is probably going to be biggest movers here today. If we take a look here at DJT, Benzinga Pro saying that Trump Media and Technology Group shares are trading higher after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. This thing traded up towards 52, really found some resistance there and came back in a little bit. Again, I think that this is going to be active all day today. It doesn't matter if you're trying to trade this to the long side or the downside. You will probably have an opportunity to do both. Looking at this right now, this is kind of butting up to VWAP. We'll see if we take this out and if this goes higher. You definitely want to keep your eye on this pre-market high here of about 54.5. I would also keep an eye here on the pre-market low. I've got that at about 44.5. I have these levels marked out here in Trade the Pool, so I'm going to be watching for a break and maybe a retest of either one of these levels. 13, before we go any further here, do you have any key levels or any thoughts on the price or any of that here as it relates to ticker DJT?
Well, right now, it looks like in the pre-market here, since it opened early this morning and ever since then, it came up to just under 555. I think the high here we have is 54.84. I'm really looking for a breakout at 555. I don't exactly know how high this would go, but the next level it's got to get over is going to be 50. That's been a point of resistance already this morning. It tried once. VWAP was also in the way, couldn't get back over that. So I think this next attempt at 50, it may actually get it. And then it's got to deal with the a little bit of consolidation between that and 52.75. So those are the levels I'm looking at right now. I don't necessarily have how high this thing could go. It could go 60, 70. I don't exactly know where this stops. I think that may be more prudent just to look to the left and see where the most topping out was. When I do, it seems just somewhere inside the 50 handle, between 50 and 60, there seems to be some resistance points. So I can give you some more of those later on as we start trading in the morning.
Yeah, and once we actually get the opening print here and we clear some of these levels out, we'll find some more levels that are in play here. Really quickly, the upside that I have marked off on Trade the Pool is $54 even, and the downside is 44.44. We can call that 44.5, 44.50. Okay, also kind of related to this, as always, we've talked about this before. Don't forget the relationship, ticker PHUN. This is also moving along the exact same things that we were just talking about for DJT. I would say that, it's really up to you which one that you're going to trade. When I'm trading something like wild like this, I tend to stick to the main issue, if you will, and that would be DJT. But PHUN, didn't you also mention that DATS was kind of moving on this news too? Ticker DATS, that's DAT chat here, another low price stock. Looks like this topped out at 250.
Yeah, this one also rallies alongside the Trump names that move, like DJT and Fun. This one has a 2.73 million share float, so very easy to move around as well. Not sure it's going to continue to get the same attention that it's been getting this morning, but just keep this on your radar. That could provide some other trades. It just looks like for the time being, it's going to come back a little bit in. So we'll have to wait and see what this does when the market opens. I think DJT might be the stronger one this morning.
Yeah, and one more thing to keep in mind here, chat is already on top of it. You folks are mentioning some of the other gun stocks, SWBI. This is, of course, Smith & Wesson. This getting mentioned here by Rick. This is true. I wonder what happened to my chart there. I was going to say, I checked this chart earlier. I know it's not broken. SWBI, this trading up here, up by almost a full point. The ammo stock that I have been holding and swinging for a long time, I said that this was definitely going to be a 2024 play at some point. I've been trading around a core position here, booking gains when it trades to the upside, and then adding when it moves to the downside. I'm currently about midway through on my position. This one's in my main account, by the way. This stock, ticker POW, POWW, that's ammo.com. This trading up here, 180-ish, looks to be some of the resistance there. So a lot of these other stocks also going to be involved in some of the movement that we see here today. Rumble is another one that chat is mentioning here. That also trading up here. A lot of stocks kind of connected to this as well. Good call there, Lynn. Okay, let's go ahead and roll through some of the movers, and then we'll take stocks and setups here from the chat, and we should be all prepared to go. Really quickly, just in case this takes longer than anticipated, as a reminder, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool, so if you need help getting above the day trading threshold or simply need some more dry powder, check out Trade the Pool. They can help. A bunch of great guys there. Prop firm action is fun. Okay, let's go through the movers list. We're going to start with DATS. We kind of already talked about it a little bit here. This one at the top of the list. Do you have anything else here level-wise? I mean, to me, 220 looks to be important.
I don't have levels for this one. I just 3 of the 4 names that I have here for my movers are all related to the events over the weekend. ARTL is the only one that I don't have that's not related that I have on my list, but it's basically going to be DATS, DJT, and PHUN that I'm looking at for the most movement. And they have been moving quite a bit, and those are over $1 and look like they're going to stay over $1 for at least this session. Some of the other ones that are moving over $1, I didn't really cover on because they were going above and below $1 price. So those aren't the ones that I'm necessarily going to cover. They're just not interesting to me. These other ones that we're going to talk about though, all usually based on what happened over the weekend.
Yeah, so to me here for DATS, the spots that I'm looking at are going to be the VWAP. It's actually done a really decent job kind of using its VWAP as support as it's traded up here. Even when it's dipped below, it's actually recaptured it fairly quickly, and in some cases done it on pretty good volume. So to me, that's going to be a downside support level. Upside resistance level, definitely 220, and then ultimately this 258, 260 area if it can really get going. Some of in fact, all of these, I will pretty much, I have no position in any of these, let's call them politically related stocks. And that would include some of the gun stocks too. The only position I had that I carried over the weekend was POW, and I have a much longer term thesis on that trade as it is. So it's not going to get changed based on what we're seeing here today. Otherwise, I have none of these stocks. So in order to execute one of these trades, we're going to really have to make sure that we get some decent entry. As a result, I'm not going to chase the opening print. I'm going to actually allow that to kind of maybe shake out or show me where that's going to go. We'll go from there. Look forward to the chat here being able to find out when things are kind of weakening or what might constitute a good entry. You guys have been really, really good and on top of that recently. So looking to really kind of utilize that here today. DATS, by the way, as we're speaking here, sitting right at the VWAP. Next one here is going to be SCNI. This is Sinai Immunotherapeutics. This stock actually popped above 8 earlier today. We had a PR earlier this morning announcing promising results in an in vivo proof of concept psoriatic human skin model. So the results of one of these says nano AB led to reduced levels of both IL-17 isoforms and psoriatic skin tissue. I don't think I'm smart enough to know what all that means, but the market here telling you that this data is pretty good. The stock popping here up 70%, almost 3 full points on that data. Pre-market action actually looking really good here. It looks like it kind of drifted up at the end of last week, and then this morning we got an initial impulse move, the regressive move, and now another impulse move on more volume here. They actually took out the VWAP. Be curious to see how this one trades here today. Upside target of 8, absolutely within play here. We'll see if we get that shortly after the open. 13, do you have anything else here on ticker SCNI?
It didn't really cover this one, but it appears that this is some kind of dermatological, treatment for psoriasis. So that's what this is moving on. Now the float on this one is 188,000 shares, and we've already traded this thing like 50 times. Its float already. So this thing could definitely go crazy. It can rally really fast. It also can sell off just as quick. So be quite careful on this one. If you have your technical level set and you have your your upside target set and they strike them, it's probably a good opportunity for you to just take your profit, say thank you, and wait for the next setup. I don't know that I'd be holding any positions in something with such a low float.
Okay.
Also, the short interest is a little bit interesting too. I think this is the highest short interest that the company's ever had, and I believe that may be related to the reverse split. Yeah, they just reverse split on May 21st, 1 for 10.
Okay, so we do have a recent 1 for 10 reverse split. Do have the highest short interest printout. I agree. Benzinga Pro confirms that is the case. 13 highest short interest reading here that we've seen on this stock. So we'll see here SCNI. Maybe there were some people that were kind of offsides on that. All right, we've already really kind of covered DJT. Quick look here. It looks like it was rejected at that VWAP. So again, that's going to be one of the first spots to watch here after the opening print. PHUN is likely going to be an analog for DJT. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time on that. CPOP, here's another one. Now this popped. This is Pop Culture Group. This popped in the after hours on Friday, popped again here this morning, but really couldn't get back to those 240 highs from last Friday. And we're kind of holding in here at 160. Looking at this, we did have a initial offering by a foreign issuer. So it looks, and then we had some news here about a strategic acquisition has successfully acquired 98% of this other company. So I'm not actually sure what any of this means. This actually requires a little bit more of a look into, probably ask some of our sources from Asia about this. 13, did you have anything here on CPOP? Totally fine if you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't cover this one, but just looking at the 5-minute chart, I can see that because this was something we've traded previously, I still do have some older levels on here, okay. One of which being 215. And the pre-market, we can see that 215 level has been, it's been pretty good resistance. We did get a breakout over it initially, but then it came right back in and it has struggled to recapture 215 ever since. So now we're trading beneath the VWAP. We have some other EMAs that it's above it right now. So let's just be careful with this one. Wait for it to open, and then we'll see what it does. The first thing I'm going to want to see is recapture of VWAP, and then we're going to want to see that 215 get taken out. If we do that, then the next upside target I have on this one is 280.
Real quickly here, Jay's Light saying CPOP is garbage. So
it pretty much is. A lot of these
like
are. 13
was just saying, be careful with that. We are going to cover all of those things here. Yeah, we will take a look here at SMCI and Jay. I love the idea here on DKNG. So let me quickly follow off with this list and let's roll over to that because I think you're onto something there. Another question here about Amix, which also happens to be in the list here. Autoimmunix Medical, ticker AMIX. Autoimmunix shares are trading higher after the company entered into an agreement with RF Innovations to license intellectual property for its Apex 6 radio frequency generator. That thing popped as high as almost 160, looks like 158 here. Came all the way back down, holding that $1 level, looking like it's trying to curl up and take out VWAP. We've seen this type of formation in action a whole bunch. So this is likely going to be in play here again today. So we'll see. Smoke Tuna, small cap trading is the magic of turning garbage into money.
From trash to treasure.
From trash to treasure. There's all types of things you can say about that. Facts. Really good stuff there. Okay, so AMIX, this also likely to be in play here today. The one thing that you'll notice is that the volume has been compressing. So if we get any type of volume pop and we actually are able to move off this level, look for that VWAP to get tested and maybe even broken. One of the things we should keep in mind from last week, don't be afraid, especially in some of these junk names, the garbage, junk, whatever you guys call these things. Don't be afraid to take your gains. You can often get back in. You can often get another opportunity. It's going to be a lot better to book gains, even if they're a little bit smaller, than take outsized losses. So AMIX here. Let me keep running down. We talked about SNCI, CPOP, ASNS. This one, I think we talked about this last week, this popping here again. Artella shares are trading higher after the company receives software and service contract renewal of nearly 1.5 million from a North American customer. That seems pretty good here for ASNS. This is kind of back into the consolidation area that we were in just a couple of days ago. If we take a look at the daily chart here, maybe we can kind of curl. We are making a series of higher lows here on the daily, so maybe this will continue to trade up here. Did you have anything on ASNS 13?
No, I did not.
Okay, perfect. Let's keep moving here. We talked a little bit about rum. That's just going to kind of move along with the whole Trump thing, so kind of keep that in mind. Okay, let's go back to the chart tool here because there are a couple of things that I wanted to cover here. SMCI, let's take a look at that. This, of course, as Jay was saying here in the chat, Jay giving this to us, replaced WBA in the Q100s, FYI. So we knew that was going to happen. Remember, that was PR'd, I feel like, weeks ago at this point here. SMCI trading with some of these other names here. This higher, 942. This looking like this is going to go higher here. This likely on deck. Anyone that had this from last week, grats. Looks like you're going to get a pop here right out of the open. It's also worth noting that some of the other tech names that are up. So it looks like NVIDIA also very similar. And then the big one here is going to be Apple. Apple up 2.5% here. Apple shares trading higher after Morgan Stanley maintained an overweight and moved the price target from 216 to 273. Big adjustment there. Had some good news out of India and phone sales here for Apple. 236. This sure looks like this is going to go higher. Oh my, Big Mama is back. Apple also, by the way, Apple at the top of the list here. Let's go to market cap here. Apple going to be your market cap leader here. So retaking that number one spot with authority. So we'll see how Apple finishes up here today. Okay, let me go back to Pro here real quick. The other thing that we wanted to talk about, and get in here, 13, if you need to interrupt me, but I did really want to mention this one, DKNG. DKNG. Come on, Ryan, get it together here. Jay, your thesis here, I think you're onto something here. That's the IBM thesis. Here we go. Jay saying DKN, like it ahead of football season. So one of the things that we've seen with DraftKings is it does like to run into some of these sporting events. We saw this with the Super Bowl, right? We saw this kind of trade up into towards the Super Bowl and then kind of came back in. Now it inevitably went higher, but it traded up into that event. Football season is just a matter of weeks away. Thank God. I don't know about all you, but I am really looking forward to football season, fantasy football season as well, of course. But that's coming here. And I actually think Jay's onto something here. I think this is probably some pretty good timing for DraftKings. If you take a look at it here from a technical standpoint, we just recaptured some of these moving averages. I would venture a guess that we're going to close above these here today. RSI is not totally overcooked here. Jay, honestly, kind of like this. We'll look for a swing position here on DraftKings here today. 13, did you have anything here on DraftKings? I know we didn't talk about preparing for this, but wanted to at least give you an option to get in here.
So I'd like to see some closes above the 50-day SMA, ultimately 40 as well. Okay. So we're at a pretty interesting support level. You can draw a line here and look to the left. Also, I also have a trend line that we've I don't know if I've had you draw it before, but if you take the high from March of 2021 and draw it down through the high of March 2024, that's the trend line that I think we're going to be looking to break here. Now, a couple other technical things that I'm seeing is that we could be getting a death cross pretty soon. Be mindful of that. If that starts to resolve and we go back underneath the 200-day SMA, I'd be looking for support at about 35 to 30 to 35, basically. But I do like the theme. I do like the idea of that this could do really well going into the football season and really well during the football season. We might get a little bit of pullback at first. So just, I think it's good to temper expectations. But ultimately, I think this will end up being good.
Yeah, and to be clear here, the trade thesis, and Jay, if you have a different one, please correct me. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but as I understand it, and as I've seen from pattern recognition, the trade thesis here is that this is going to trade up into the start of the season. We'll see what happens when we get there. We are open. Let's go ahead and get it, folks. I'm going to flip over to trade the pool here. Boom, boom, boom. Here is DJT. Let's see how this reacts. So this is straight up so far, rejected at the VWAP.
Selling off. Let's see if it gets support here at 45. That'd be a very interesting level, wouldn't it?
Either 45 or 47 would be interesting levels for DJT, no question.
Looks like we're blowing through that too. 43 is the next level I have to the downside. And other stuff, DATS is getting support from the 65 EMA. I'm thinking that needs to get back above 220 in order to go higher. What else do we have here? How's Bitcoin doing now that we are open?
Bitcoin actually came off 63,200 was the high here this morning. Came off a little bit, but it's not breaking down or anything. I don't really think there's necessarily anything to worry about. DJT first move here is down and actually through that 44.50 level. Looks like it's retesting it here. Let's see. I'm going to roll through a couple of other stocks real quick. And actually, let me get my scanner up on another screen so I can keep an eye on that stuff as well.
Market Sniper, Happy Hour does have a fantasy league.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Market Sniper. It might be difficult. I mean, we got, over 1,000 people here right now. It might be difficult to set up a fantasy league of that size, but we do in Happy Hour. We've run it for a number of years, and it's always pretty popular. So we can talk about that. Definitely shoot me an email. It's going to be a lot easier for me to keep track of all that stuff through email than remembering all the comments through the show here. SCNI, by the way, looks like this is kind of curling up. We'll see if it takes out that 720 area. Kind of talked about that. Looks like it's taking a break here on that first push. Around here. Apple continuing to move higher. Right out of the open. Look at the strength on Apple. AVGO being mentioned here by Lynn, adjusted after the split. That's down here to 172. Remember that was a 10 for 1, right? Split? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. CPOP lower out of the gate. DATS finding support at the 65 EMA, still not quite above VWAP yet, but trying. DJT lower. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. AREB, that was another one that the chat was mentioning here that was kind of ramping. Here's your DATS. We actually might reclaim the VWAP there. Watch that one on DATS. AREB here, this pulled right out of the open. Looks like it found some resistance there at 1. Coming back down to VWAP. Be curious to see what it does down there. CPOP, this is moving lower here. DJT continuing to move lower here. So it broke that 44.50. Let's see where the downside ends here on DJT. Like I said, you're going to get opportunities to trade this in both directions here today. Looks like the first move here is down, and it is not halted. It is still moving. By the way, I'm seeing Apple calls come through here. Seeing Tesla calls. Let me check on Tesla here. Seeing some of the tech names. Options coming through. Interesting. They're buying calls into that pullback on Tesla.
Yeah, lots of indecisiveness is what I'm seeing right now.
Which is totally fine. This is why we talk about waiting it right out of the open. Tesla is actually bouncing. DATS, watch for this to reclaim here. Jay Rice mentioning coin. Actually, this does look pretty good here, Jay. This looks like this might go higher here. I'm long call spreads, short put spreads. That's a risk reversal. Okay, good stuff here. Good stuff here, Jay. This actually looks like this is trying to go higher. Coin. Ruger, that moving with the gun stocks there.
Yep.
Like SMCI, indeed, Robert. This is a good call. SMCI strong here. Where do we think the top is on this? The short-term top. The short-term top for a potential trade here. This actually looks pretty good.
Let's see here. I'm not trading anything at the moment. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I'm not in anything yet. Dad's still flirting with that. How's Fun doing? That's probably the same. Yeah, that's no setup there.
If SMCI rallies again, I think I would be looking at somewhere in the I think the 1060s or 1070s that it might go up to.
I mean, it's rallying right now.
Right, but it's still under 1,000. So I'm saying it's going to go over. I think it could go up another $100 from here before we top out and get some pullback.
972 actually looks like a spot that might where it might pop. SCNI has halted. Did that break higher? It did. So we were just talking about that. Good call there. Good call there, Glovey. I took this off my screen, but this was that spot there, that 720-ish spot. Popped that, went to 795, halted here with a bid under it. Indeed.
DJT
Indeed.
Trying to find a bottom right now. Turning around. It's coming back up to VWAP at the moment. It's got to get through 43 first and then VWAP. That's also trying to turn around. Let me see here. Let's go. Fun doing. Fun also leaked all the way down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, and it is trying to turn around as well.
IVP halted up. This is the pre-market resistance area on IVP, excuse me. AMIX, that was from our list here this morning. That's trying to go to that VWAP.
Yeah, this one's trying to break out as well. That AMIX trying to get over, looks like the 106, 107 handle or level. Sorry.
LNTH, I'm not selling anymore. Going to be a 4 or 5 year hold on the rest. I'll tell you what, though, Jay, that was a swing trade that you paid yourself on that also turned into an investment. Yeah, we'll take that. That'll work. That'll work. OKLO, you guys were mentioning this one a whole bunch recently. This had some action on Friday. It looks like we're pulling back here today. DJT, that sell-off is starting to slow. Maybe we bounce here.
Yeah, we're going to want to see a recapture of 43 and then VWAP. I think that's what we're going to want to see first because we haven't done that yet, and now it's trading back down. So we'll have to just be careful.
Robert, TSLL, looks like you're on the Tesla long ETF here. Tesla, actually, that dip here, that bounce is strong. Look for Tesla to get above its pre-market range here. Got that probably about 260.5. Nice pop there on Tesla, indeed.
AMIX.
Rick, there it is. Yep. No, I was just mentioning. That's what Rick was mentioning here. AMIX.
Okay.
That going for that VWAP. All right. So this is actually a decent start to the morning here.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Decent start here.
Just got to wait for everything to kind of shake out, and then as soon as the buyers start stepping back in,
Solar's still getting slammed here. This is on that relationship of the market pricing in a Trump victory here. Solar stocks obviously not going to be in vogue in that environment. And actually, you might want to look at some drillers or some oil energy names. And that
which is kind of funny too, because during the Trump presidency, those ESG plays, they all did really well because of the low rate environment. So they could end up doing well again over the course of his presidency if he does work to get rates cut. So that's something to keep in mind. Low rates are going to help those stocks.
I think that's definitely something he's going to do. Smoke Tuna mentioning Hood here, this popping out of that pre-market range. Is this just kind of on the extended trading action hours? Did we have any fresh news here on Robinhood this morning? Let me see. I didn't actually check on that earlier. That's my fault. Three most. Yeah, I don't see anything new here. That would be driving it. Okay, sold another little bit of that Val swing. Boy, that is turning into a monster here as Val continues to trade higher. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything here on the insiders either for Robinhood. This is an interesting pop, though, Tuna. You like this going higher here? Hood moving with Bitcoins. Okay, so it's just kind of on the Bitcoin relationship. Okay, I can get with that. Coin and Hood, your two best looking Bitcoin names here, or Bitcoin connected names.
Asking where do we think AMIX will go? It's kind of like this. This is one of these speculative biotech stock names. I don't expect it to go too high, but I'll tell you where I think the upside and downside is. the downside is definitely looking like it's going to be under $1. Let's just be clear about that. And if it goes under $1, then shorts can tend to pile in and take it lower. So that's one thing to be aware of. As far as the upside goes, should we get enough buyers to come in, I'd say the 50-day SMA would be probably about where you would see the best case of resistance to be had, and that's going to be up at around 175. I think 175 to 180 is going to be your top end in this one, and then I don't know how far down this could go. I mean, it could go right back down to where it was prior to this morning, which was about 60 cents. So that's what I think the range is going to be with this one.
That was AMIX. By the way, real quickly here, AREB, this was pulling right off of the open. We came to the VWAP here, although it looks like this is trying to go lower. Look out if it breaks this 80 here. Parker mentioning SMR. That's new scale power. This grinding higher here in the pre-market. It's pulled back to VWAP. Maybe we'll catch a reversal here. My goodness, I'm sorry. SCNI, this was halted and now opened here. This went higher above that pre-market high. Let's see if this settles in here. Anyone trading SCNI? This feels wild.
We have another mover from last week, IVP. This one's halted to the upside.
Yep. This halt should actually be lifting pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken. Jay, I love this comment here. Nike, Macy's, Lulu, ugly. Retail names not doing so hot. We have retail sales tomorrow, so good look ahead there. You think this is kind of selling in anticipation of a bad print on that number, Jay? Man, this Lulu chart, I remember when Andy said his short from 500 was going to be good at some point here. This thing almost cut in half. Yeah.
Cut in half again.
DJT resuming lower here. So the bottom not yet in. Volume still strong here as DJT hunts for its bottom. The one stick that we had here, this was in the 7 o'clock open, right? Yeah, that's exactly what that was. That bottom here was 37.38. So that's an hour 2.5 points from where we're at here on DJT. Just keep that in mind. Jay saying, I don't know, Ryan. I did see that China missed retail sales last night. Yeah. And Robert, that's what you were saying too. Didn't China have bad retails? Yeah, it was last night, today, same deal. Indeed. I'm not sure how that actually corresponds to the US market, but yeah, those numbers coming out here. This wouldn't surprise me. This would not surprise me at all. We've been talking about the consumer tightening up, buying less stuff here, maybe spending their money on experiences instead of items. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
And JP Morgan saying, and I think also Citi as well, saying that they've had to increase their credit loss provisions and their runoffs or their charge-offs, have been increasing as well. So I think that is another indication how some of these debts that consumers are racking up are either not able to pay them back, or they have no intention of paying them back, which I think bears worth watching, because this could be another situation that could help pull down the market if it doesn't pull down the market on its own.
Real quickly here, Beck's mentioning Aeon, ticker AEON, halted to the upside here, 234. Nice little volume pop here. I just pulled it up in Pro. Don't see any news on this. The last piece of news came from July 10th, where Wainwright slapped $6 price target on it. So this looks like this is trading up here this morning. Again, nothing fresh that I can see at this point. Waiting for some stuff to settle out here. Doing real good so far here this morning. By the way, INOD, this is one that we've talked about, this continuing to march higher here. Tough hold in the environment, given that this is a smaller cap name, but this stock showing some strength here. Real AI play with kind of a shaky management team at this name. SMCI pulling back. Robert, okay, that's a big pullback here. Let's see if this actually bottoms out here and gives us a tradable entry. That would be sweet here. AMIX going now. So WIS, okay, interesting. So this did move through the VWAP. Did we get halted here? No, we did not. Not yet, anyway. This did move through the VWAP. See if how much higher this can go here. I would at least trim. This is halted now. AMIX halted now, 122 to the upside. Volume pop right through VWAP. Next upside target I have here, probably that 157. Yep. Maybe it gets a little bit here at 135, but 157, your next big target. Grats for all of you that are in AMIX earlier.
Yeah, I think 157's definitely the one you want to look towards. I still have the 175 level to 180. 175 to 180 could also be where this thing ends up topping out. And if it blasts through that, then I don't really have a whole lot of other levels. We have between 250 and basically 325 would be the next range where there's a bunch of supply that it could run into in reverse. So if it gets past that 175 to 180, that would be the next range. But I don't know that it's going to have the juice to get there. So we'll see.
Jay Michael here mentioning big pull on the SPY. SPY was kind of drifting up here. Now we are pulling. We're beneath the open price, but we're still higher on the day, right? We're still higher than where we close. So let's see where SPY ends up resolving. DJT, here you go. So tuna, really good stuff here this morning, tuna. DJT, this is a great example of going against the mass. Remember, DJT for Robinhood extended trading, this thing was limit up last night. I actually heard Dennis this morning saying he tried to trade it and it was impossible to get a fill there. So the masses, what you're talking about here, Smoke Tuna, clearly on the other side. Now today, here we come back in. This is at a potential bounce zone. Let's see if we end up getting it right in here, right? We talked about this one and a little bit lower too. I'd actually extend this bounce zone out to about 37.5. We'll see if we get that here. DJT. Seeing a ton of Tesla calls come through. The 260 calls. How's Tesla doing? Tesla bouncing again here. Watch for Tesla to take out those pre-market highs. Lynn and Randy, you guys have been awfully quiet. I think you probably back and forth trading here on Tesla.
Yeah, they're busy.
Yeah, they're busy in the good way. Busy in the good way. Goldman Sachs here reporting earnings. This is actually higher here today.
Yep, them and BlackRock both reported this morning.
VWAP bounce on Tesla. See, Lynn and Randy, you guys never disappoint. Never disappoint. Yeah, Jay Rice. Yeah, we've been kind of saying that on DJT here. This is not a stock that you would ever buy and hold on fundamentals. This is all momentum. You're mentioning the short interest here, very highly shorted. I think eventually this turns around, but let's find out where that bottom is. Maybe Smoke Tuna called it here. Finally getting the volume to turn over to a green candle here on DJT. What's the spread like on this one? Sometimes this name can be extremely spready, making it difficult to trade.
Yeah, it looks like it's
trying to go higher here.
Looks like it is.
It's trying. We'll see. I'm going to check back in on it. I'm going to let that settle a little bit. Smoke Tuna mentioning ARTL here. Maybe this is a move back to the VWAP. Pop and drop here.
Yeah, speaking of moves back to the VWAP, that's something that DJT.
Good morning, Judge.
Hello, Judge.
Good morning, Judge.
And getting a mention of ARTL. That was
that's what I've got on the screen.
Yeah, this one volume's really low in this one.
So Jay, listen, let me ask you here real quick. I'll go to SCNI next here, but talking about tech here, Jay saying NVIDIA, green to red, it's hurting the space, SMCI, Avago, etc. So do we still think we're going to see more of that rotation? Remember, we talked about having some of this rotation come out of tech last week into some of the smaller names like the IWM that was really doing a good job holding up and showing us that was exactly the relationship that we were looking for. IWM not really breaking down here. Here's a look at your Qs. This still kind of holding in here, but NVIDIA, is NVIDIA leading the way? What do we think? Do we still think there's some rotation into some of those smaller names? That'd be something we're going to ask Matt Maley as well.
Yeah, it looks like the Mag 7's about to completely go green again. We just are waiting on NVIDIA and Meta to finish it up. AMIX still suspended, halted.
I'll flip around here to some of those names. Indeed. Pow, looking like that's going for some more highs here. That's ammo.com. SPY, so we just talked about that pulling back. That immediately bounced and went back to the VWAP. Thank you, Dustin. All I had to do was mention it. All I had to do was mention it, and that's what we're going to do.
CYN is getting some pretty good movement this morning.
Aon, this was halted earlier. This actually trying to move higher here. Here's CYN. CYN, this actually moving pretty good here. Checking some of the rest of these DATs. Looks like this is kind of dying out here. How did AREB do? AREB didn't really bounce at that VWAP very much.
BNAI has been nuts for a while. Any idea what's going on? Well, it's got AI in the name.
BNAI?
Yeah, let me actually get you a real answer. Hold on.
Robert is used to your
Okay.
used to your snap answers there. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be all right.
Okay, so nothing really on the news feed since Thursday.
AREB, watch if this can curl through that VWAP here on AREB. Good morning, Lion Atlas. We were wondering if you were going to show up. Huma, what this actually about to go over its pre-market highs. This had a really, really good week last week here. There is some size there at 8, so you want to see if that gets taken out here.
As far as BNAI goes, this might be moving on the momentum in crypto, maybe. I know that there's a blockchain element to this company. I think that's what it could be moving on. I haven't read through the forums from Thursday, so I don't know if there's something in there that's causing this to move. There might be, but as for today, just from what I'm seeing happening across a different sector of the market, we have Bitcoin rallying, and this is has a blockchain element to it. So I think it could be moving on that. Not 100% sure though. I don't even have a float reading on this.
Real quick here. ASNS looks like a new high if it breaks 215 here. ASNS. You guys are mentioning GME, Jay Wild, and Yacht Insurance Guy in Florida. GME is turning around here. Got a full point move so far here on GME. This is still in a 20 handle, by the way. DJT looks like that sell-off here has kind of stopped. The next question here is this going to bounce? Might actually have to try a little bit of this here.
Well, if GME is moving, then maybe Chewy moves. It's not really moving right now.
Can't really get above 40 here. Let's see if we can add some in here. Let's see if I can get a little bit under 40, just kind of a little position just to start on. Build 25 shares there at 39.88. We'll see if we can scale and build into this. This might just totally reverse here.
DAT's trying to push through its VWAP right now. So what's the plan here with DJT? You're trying to VWAP trade?
Me, yeah. I want to see this come back to VWAP. And if you see how it's kind of coming down here and it's kind of consolidating a little bit. I'm wondering if this is going to be one of the areas where where the selling pressure is exhausted, and then we make a move back to, and then potentially through VWAP. We obviously have a pretty good range if we can do that. So that's kind of what I'm waiting out here. But I'm not going to try to go in too much. Like I'd have no problem scaling into this trade.
Okay. Looks like you might get a quick pop move up to VWAP and then it drops. So that's another thing that may happen here with this one.
Yeah. And look, if that's the case, again, using the prop account here, we'll scalp this thing back and forth. I got no problem trading something over and over. I'm certainly not going to overexpose myself to something as polarizing as this.
HIMS is up. Oh, it's up almost 3.5%. This one looks like it's actually curling to try to come back up to the highs that it made back in June.
This is HIMS that you're mentioning here?
Yeah.
Indeed. HIMS popping here. Let's see if that can actually go higher.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about what might happen with the DJT rejection at VWAP. Seeing some other EMAs bearing down on VWAP. We get a
again, where are we at here? 40. The VWAP's there at 43. I mean, even if this were able to get to 41, I think we're going to have multiple. And the other thing here is that I don't think today is going to be the only day with this too, right? I think
probably not.
Right, with the convention going on, I think you're likely going to get headlines, a lot of stuff kind of happening out of that. So I wouldn't be surprised here. Let's see if we can get, at least the entry here was just under 40. If we can get to 41, then we're talking about a 1-point move there at least. And we might be able to kind of redo that over and over again here today. We might be able to kind of build into that and scalp the thing back and forth. I'm doing low size here because number one, this is not something that I trust for the long haul. This is something that's clearly attached to a bunch of emotional stuff. So I'm just going to try and keep the position size small here and just be active in it.
And smoke tuna, that's probably the discipline that a lot of us should be having right now.
Yeah, no touch. Yeah. I think that's probably a safe move here. You don't have to do any of that.
Oh. Pow trading over 2. Liking the way that some of these IWM names are working out. Still have a 225 as my my upside target for IWM until we start to maybe pull back, correct, do a little bit of selling.
DJT here coming up towards that 41 level. Remember, we said that this was going to be active and kind of all over the place here today. That little pullback, and now it looks like we're trying to go higher. Let's see if we get above 41 here. Might close this first scalp. Let's see.
To me, that would be wise to be selling into this third candle, this third 5-minute candle here. I'm
just wondering if this can push, but here we go. We're going to push above that 41. We're right at 41. Let's see if we break above. There we go. And out. So got just over a full point. We'll wait for this to set back up and try it again. 1 for 1 on the scalps here today.
Excellent. And now it's coming right up to VWAP. So this is where any of the VWAP traders would probably be exiting. So let's see if the price blasts through it, or if we do get the pullback that we'd be anticipating here, if we're going to see a bunch of selling at VWAP.
Okay. That's slowing down here at 41. While that shakes out, let's take a look at some of the other stocks that are moving here. SCNI. Boy, I'm probably going to mix this up with SMCI at some point here today. But SCNI, this right at those pre-market highs. We actually have some wicks that took it above. This thing's trying to go higher here. Already been halted. What? This was one time? How many times was this stock halted? IVP has been halted 3 times. Amex has been halted twice. SCNI halted twice. So we got 2 halts on this one. Maybe we'll get another here. Voodoo saying, Ryan, nice scalp, solid point. Exactly. And that's the thing, Voodoo. Like, again, we'll see what the environment is like. We'll take what gains we can get, and then we'll keep our position size in a area that's really not going to hurt us in case it goes wrong. A lot of potential back and forth on that name. 4160 now. Still on DJT as that continues to move higher here. How are some of the other names on that list? Val, by the way, continuing to trade up. That looking real good. I did get another sale there here today. This continuing to move up. Let's go. I got a trailer. I got my trailer still on. Those calls expire in 4 days, so I'm going to have to get that trailer out of here this week. But definitely want to. This stock's strong and definitely squeezing here. I'd love to get this above 80 at this point. Okay, let's see what you folks are taking a look at here. AMIX at rejected at the VWAP. Look at that. So we halt. Remember when we went through that VWAP and halted again? Take your gains when you have them, folks.
Yeah.
IVP, how's this one doing? This actually pushing away from the VWAP, trying to go higher here on IVP. That looking pretty. Several of the group was in this, weren't they? I think so. GS appearing on the relative volume scanner. Didn't think I'd say that here today. QS, QuantumScape. This actually looking like this is going to try to go higher. This was on that quantum computing. We talked about this a little bit last week, if I recall correctly.
Tom V, thanks for that piece. That's very helpful.
CGBS. Oh, that's Tom Herbert. Sorry.
Tom V. Yeah, he said that there was more news on the judge in Florida just dismissed his classified records case.
Okay, that was anticipated. I don't think
right.
That's just officially come. Okay.
But I think there's going to be some movement as a result of that, and it might be pretty.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Palantir here, nice reversal here. This traded down to 28, immediately reversed. This actually looks like this is trying to go higher on the daily chart. Let me bring up a bigger chart here of Palantir. Also, by the way, folks, DraftKings here, higher by 2%. This looking like this is going to try and go towards 39.40 area. Let me bring up Palantir.
Yeah, Palantir, I have 29.50 is one of the levels I have, and seeing as how we're at a 70 RSI right now, 29.50 should we hit it. That's a pretty good spot in my opinion to be looking for the price to reverse. So if you're trading this and you're looking to take some profit, that's probably a good level. But I think this is going to end up coming back in a little bit because we've been consolidating. We're trying to break out to go higher. After that breakout, don't think it's going to run a whole bunch. I think 29.50s might be about as high as it goes before it needs to cool off. And then once it does that, we can have all kinds of discussions about where it goes after that.
Palantir here, to me, I like charts that look like this. I don't know about you, but I like charts that look like this. We had a nice little impulse move that took us to about 27.5 here, a little bit of a regression back to the mean. We've taken that high out now. Your point is well made about here on the daily chart. We're just above 70 on the RSI. So maybe this does need a little bit of time to kind of take a break and come back, and we'll see here. Palantir looking pretty good so far. All right. Folks, it's 10 o'clock on a Monday, so you know what that means. It is time for the one and only Matt Maley. We welcome Matt Maley to the show. Matt, happy Monday. How are you doing today? Hopefully you had a good weekend.
Well, it was a good weekend. Obviously, a lot of things going on, which shocking and et cetera. So it was a very strange weekend, I guess, to say the least. But not having a huge amount of impact on the markets. I'm just looking over at my screen here. Although they're up with the Trump trade, et cetera. We'll see how long that lasts. But I'm sure we're going to see some more volatility, whether related to this or other issues in the coming weeks.
Yeah, so I'm not going to try to spend a lot of time on the whole political stuff, but obviously seeing an assassination attempt on an American political leader is quite jarring. I'm with you. Market here, not really kind of reflecting. It's just a little bit higher here. We'll see where this ends up going. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I just think the real issue is going to be, believe me, a real issue in terms of the markets is going to be earnings still. I mean, and I'm not trying to downplay the political aspects of what's going on in our country, but I just think that what's going on with the earnings and really more importantly, the earnings guidance we get. Earnings are always important. Earnings guidance is always more important, but this time it's, I think, more important than usual because we have a stock market that is very expensive. And we are going to have to see a big jump in earnings guidance across the board, especially from the non-AI type companies, if we're going to look for a further rally this year. So I think the next, won't be obviously it's not like an employment report or an inflation number where we get it once and we can decipher it. It's going to be cumulative over time. But I think really that's going to be the most important thing of moving the markets in the weeks ahead.
Now, go ahead. Go ahead there, 13.
What sector would you be looking at the most for such an indication that, okay, this is really the market's really starting to come in? This is where, because you were just talking about the tech sector, and I was just curious if there's any other sectors where we want to see this guidance that you're referring to. Where do we want to see that?
Well, I mean, we didn't really get much out of the banking industry. I mean, the bank stocks look okay, but I think a lot of these financial stocks. I mean, we looked at stocks like Visa and MasterCard have been under pressure over the last month or so. It's not just been a couple of days, and these are very, very important stocks for the consumer. And so if we get if we start to see guidance from companies like this, in other words, non-bank stocks, some of these other consumer-related names, whether it be in the financial area or in other consumer-related areas, which would include Amazon, if that starts to continue to soften, we got a big problem because we really again. We've talked about this in the past. The stock market is up 45% since the beginning of 2023, and yet earnings are only up 11%. And that's through the end of the year. I'm not just talking about so far. We had 0 earnings growth last year. We're looking for 11% earnings growth this year. So there's a big gap there. There's a reason the market is expensive at 22 times or 23 times earnings, because these earnings aren't strong enough to justify this rally. And if we start to see the consumer starting to pull back, that's going to be a clear sign that earnings are not going to catch up the way they need to, and it's going to create some problems.
So the credit loss provisions, that's something and the charge-offs, that's something to really be worth paying attention to. Exactly,
and what we've been seeing in the last few months is that that this is becoming a problem, and you can just see what's going on with the stocks in both Visa and MasterCard. But we've heard it, and we've heard for a long time that that the issue with credit card debt being really, really high. But that's okay as long as people are paying it off. But now we see that in more recent months that the credit card delinquencies are much higher. So are auto loan delinquencies and other consumer delinquency, other consumer debt delinquencies. So yes, exactly. That's going to be a problem. Although of course we still want to pay very, very close attention to those tech stocks that you mentioned, because I mean they are so highly weighted in the S&P and the Nasdaq, especially the Nasdaq 100, and so. If the overall market starts to sell off in a big way, I guess my thing is that we saw people were talking about rotation last week. Hey, great, the Nasdaq and the S&P went down hard, and the Russell went up, and actually even the S&P equal weight index went up. That's all fine and good, but rotation is not broadening out. I don't know why people try to equate that. That's not broadening out. That's just swapping. Okay, what the bulls need to see is that the tech stocks, maybe they don't go up as much, but they continue to rise, and everything else rises with it. You don't want those tech stocks going down, because if they go down, because they're so highly weighted, the indexes go down. And the millions of investors out there, millions of individual investors are sit there and go, do I want to rotate into other stocks? Or if the tech stock, if the big averages are getting hit, or do I want to rotate into 5% cash? I think a lot of them are going to 5% cash. So if the big tech stocks go down, and you look at you get too much into the weeds, but you get into the MACD charts of Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Google, all these, they're crossing onto the negative side. If they all start to go down in a meaningful way, it's only slight so far, but if they start to go down in a meaningful way, we got some problems. So, we obviously also want to keep a very close eye on tech, as we always do.
Thank you.
Yeah, real good stuff there. You actually took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to ask you about that rotation from tech into some of the smaller names and what that actually meant for the market. So your contention there is you want to see the tech maybe still trade up a little with everything else going with it, not necessarily just piling out of tech, maybe into some of these more laggard, beaten down names.
Right. I mean, again, if tech goes sideways a little bit, that's okay too. I mean, we certainly saw that with the bank stocks moving sideways all this year, and the overall market was able to rally. The bank stocks had gone down; it would have been much more difficult. But we definitely don't want to see them going lower, because again, it's the fear factor. I mean, if the market was trading at 16 times earnings, I wouldn't be worried about tech going down a little bit. But whether it is as expensive as it is, and everybody's talking about, is this a bubble or not? The individual investors are still very, very important in the marketplace, and the institutional investors, they can do all they want. But if these big mutual funds got people start taking their money and say, I'm moving out of the stock fund and into my money market account and with some of my shares, and you get several million people doing that because the market's getting hit, it will start to feed on itself. So this whole rotation thing only works if the market is calm, not if these tech stocks are getting hit.
Okay, real good stuff. Matt, I'm going to get you out here on this. We did have a question here from one of our viewers saying, hey, can you ask Matt why Avago, ticker AVGO, performing like CMG, which is Chipotle, after the split? So it looking like they're kind of asking you about Avago and CMG post-split. You have any feeling either way on those names?
Well, I mean, the whole thing with the one thing is that, it's funny because splits don't mean anything. They don't enhance any of the value of the company, but that's only theoretically. Even though that's the case, we all know that stocks go up when they split. It just this is a fact, because again, it allows more individual investors to go ahead and buy the stock is the main reason. But whatever the reason, they do. Now the thing is, it usually tends to be a short-term phenomenon, but in the last year, it has been something that's lasted for a while. So the one thing I worry about Avago or the Broadcom is that that if the tech group starts to get hit, this will get hit as well. But there's no question, and there's some other really high-priced stocks that the people in our chat room have been talking about that could be due, ripe to announce a stock split. And if they do, they're going to pop real nice. And they announce, and of course, they tend to announce these stock splits when they announce their earnings. Some of them are actually this week. So that's something that we're talking about in the chat room on a regular basis.
You have any of those names that you're watching that you want to share with the group?
Well, I mean, let me just pull. I'm sorry, just to pull my thing to the side there. But yeah, one of the names that we've been talking about is ASML. This stock, it's $1,000 stock. I'm sorry, what's
$1,100? Yeah.
Yeah, $1,100 stock. I'm sorry, I just didn't have the screen up in front of me. But they report before the opening on Wednesday. So the last time you'll be able to trade on it is Tuesday. Now again. I'm just guessing. So guessing is not a real great way to trade stocks. But again, $1,000 stock. If you want the individual investor to be more attracted to this stock, you're going to split 4 for 1 or more. So there's one right there that stands out to us. These are the names this and other names that we'll be talking about in the chat room. So join us in the chat room and you'll get more ideas like this.
Absolutely. Really appreciate that. And by the way, I went ahead and posted a link to the Universe webinar that we do. So be sure to check that out. Again, if you want to see more of Matt, check out his service. Matt, we can't thank you enough. All of the stuff that you do here for us and for investors out there. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time here today. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll check in with you next week. Okay.
You too, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you, Matt.
Take care, Matt. That is Matt Maley. Boy, are we lucky. Thank you very much to Matt. Lynn and Randy, thank you for the question. Awesome that he was able to answer that. So really, really good stuff there. Okay. While it was going on, let's take a look in here. DJT finally did make it back to that VWAP. Let's see what happens now. By the way, sold another little bit of the Val position here. So we are down to the last trailer here. We are looking good. That trade, multiple hundreds of % banked on that now. So really, really good stuff. Okay. Universe webinar link, sign up in the chat for any of you that are interested. Jay mentioning Deck. This was another one that you thought might go for a split. Deck, this one I kind of didn't see till the weekend. 6-for-1 split announced on Friday. So they did announce it. Okay. Actually, Jay, I believe when we talked about this several weeks ago, you actually suggested this as a potential split candidate. I missed that as well from Friday. So okay, what else are we taking a look at? AMIX, that is open here, and it looks like this is halted again.
That's moving. It broke above the pre-market high.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Now it's coming back in. And now it's halted.
Yeah, it's halted right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's halted right here.
Yeah, some of these other ones just have not done anything all morning. Like CPOP, it did not pop, it dropped. DATS, sideways and lower, ARTL had a morning pop, lower. Fun, lower. That's not fun. So a lot of things that we're looking for upside did not pan out today. It seems like a lot of the Bitcoin names not really doing a whole lot either. I think you guys were trading Mara and Riot or MSTR, I think, or the two better of the
Coin.
Bitcoin thing, or Coin. That's right.
Coin. The ones that we saw here today that were better anyway were going to be Coin and what was the other one? Oh my God, I'm drawing a huge blank. Sorry, I was reading something else here on another screen. Ryan, the new title, Director of Happiness. Yeah, I wish. Okay. What was the other Bitcoin name? Why am I drawing a huge blank?
Is it MSTR?
No, it was
Mara.
No, from today.
Oh, I'm just guessing because I don't know which one you're talking about, so I'm just going to cycle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Riot, Mara, MSTR, CLSK, Coin.
Man, I feel I'm embarrassed.
I guess Wolf, BTBT, Hut.
No,
I don't know. I'm running out.
No, it wasn't any of those. Maybe it was. Man, oh man, I'm drawing a huge blank here. I'm sorry about that. In any case, Coin was the best one of the group. So we mentioned the best one of the group. Hood, thank you. Smart guy. See, I knew it was smart guy. It was Hood. Oh my god. Hood and Coin were your two best performers here today. Thank you, smart guy. My goodness. My goodness. I'm gonna go buy some Prevagen.
I saw somebody type something that I was gonna
see. Now it's happening. See, it's contagious. It's contagious. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that.
Easy Mike was mentioning Netflix. That one's up slightly today, and it also has Morgan Stanley with an overweight rating on it and a price target of 780. All right.
662 there on Netflix. What's Chipotle doing? Glenn mentioned Chipotle. Man, I'll tell you what, that's continuing to come in here on Chipotle. 51, 50 to 51, maybe. That might be an area for a potential bounce here. Who knows?
Talking about CMG bounce area?
Yeah.
So I think we were talking about how this one is probably going to end up filling its gap. I think we talked about this last week. How there's a gap fill that it's currently working on right now that goes down to 56.28. So that would be the gap fill. For support, I think 55 to 54.75 might be where you could see that. So I still think there's a little bit slightly more downside to come, but should be slowing down soon. Worst case scenario, this goes to the 200-day SMA.
I mean, that would be great if it went to the 200-day, frankly. That would be great.
Robert, considering a short on TXN.
That's Texas Instruments. I actually just pulled that up here.
Well, what's the thesis here? Because this one looks like it's trying to go higher. Now I see it may have failed to break out. If this formation is not going to resolve the way it usually does, needs to get over 206. Still might get that, but if it starts going under 200 and staying down there, then I'd be a little bit more worried about that. And I would likely think that your short thesis is pretty good. But for now, I still think that there's a possibility it breaks over 206.
Real good call here from Smoke Tuna. This is Aon. This is the one that Bex called earlier here on that impulse move. We almost retraced the entire move, and now we're getting volume expansion through the VWAP. I'm not buying here because this would be a chase, and I would almost certainly get punished. I deserve to get punished anyway. So we'll see here, but this is a great move here on AEON. By the way, when we mention some of those moves that are moving on like that impulse move up, like Bex did it here at the beginning, always worth putting it on your list because you get a secondary move like this. This one probably would have been easier to trade. Really good stuff here.
So yeah, Robert, I see some things that you're saying with TXN. One of the things I'm noticing here is that their estimates for their revenue, which they're reporting in 8 days, are much. Where'd you go, Ryan? They're much lower estimates than what they were expecting year over year last year. So I think there is a possibility that these estimates might be undercutting it too much, and it kind of sets them up for a little bit of an ability to beat these estimates. They already did that once last quarter, where they had revised down the estimated revenue, and they beat that both top and bottom line. So if this is if the expectations are really low with this one, and they do better than those expectations, it might not sell off. That's just what I'm noticing here. Now you could be right that the sales are so bad that the estimates that it's below the estimates. And then I absolutely agree that thing would sell way off. But for now, I think it's just a matter of if they are going to beat the estimates. I think the current estimates right now are 3.81 billion in revenue for this quarter. So we'll find out in 8 days.
I had TSN up there. I literally tried to type TXN, but sorry about that.
No problem.
Wiss, upset about the halts. I'm with you on that, man. I don't like the halts either. I don't like the halts either, my man.
Well, let's look at the last earnings and see what the reaction was, since we know that that was a top and bottom line beat, and the EPS beat on that was, you know, one of the best ones they've had since 22. So that was April 23rd, and they reported, and this stock went absolutely, it skyrocketed. So if it's this is TXN we're still talking about.
Okay.
So based on that last earnings report that was top and bottom line beats, and this is the reaction to that, it still could do the same thing. Now I think I think you might be right that there's a little bit more of a limited upside to this, because it's kind of in the lower echelon of oversold. It's got an RSI of 61, so not really oversold quite yet. But I think if on an earnings beat and subsequent rally, then I think that would be a great time to go short.
Okay. Good stuff there on TXN. Really quickly, INOD getting a mention here from the chat. Jonathan, you had mentioned grinding up on low volume. This thing is already traded more than half of its average here today. I actually think this is pretty good volume here for INOD, but nonetheless, this definitely moving higher here. This above 20 now. Yeah. How many times did we talk about this being a $20 stock? I recognize that SI anywhere, 13. Well, I recognize that SI anywhere.
I'm going to show you my chart that I had with this one, and you'll see why. This is funny. And I'll just send it to you, and you can see why. Because we talked about this so much. We talked about the downside. We talked about the breakouts.
Sure did.
And we still made a good amount of money on this, but if we just kept holding, it would have been phenomenal.
Or just traded around it multiple times. Is it in the happy hour chat here?
No. There won't be any context to that. I just slacked it to you. All right. Anyway, let's see what else is trading here. That's got to be annoying with AMIX. I think somebody said that already, right? All these halts. Fun is not having any. DJT, that one's now beneath VWAP again. Looking like it's going to have another date with 40 and then 38.50.
Here, okay, so let me see how I can.
Robert, I'm showing that ASML has their earnings report on Wednesday morning, not tomorrow.
I'm going to check here really quickly on DKNG as well. This is moving higher here. Let's watch for this to take out the 50 here. I kind of like your swing idea here, Jay. I like this. I like this. Okay.
A bit of a muted morning, There's been some good trades, but for the majority of it, just a lot of things just kind of going sideways.
The only day trade, it was the really small scalp here on DJT, which, by the way, that VWAP area that we highlighted early, that was exactly where the resistance is. DJT stopped right there. It's coming back in. We'll see if this sets up again. The swing account, though, absolutely rocking. VAL, this trade is really starting to turn into a winner here. I'm surprised I got bailed out on this one, but I'll take it. But we're just we're selling a whole bunch up here now, just booking gains at this point. Netflix at the highs.
AMIX open and going higher. 173 is the current high. Now it's going a little bit higher. I think with this one, as I was saying earlier this morning, that we're actually right where I believe we would be topping out at. So let's see if that's the case or not, or if we just continue to blast off higher. I think I also mentioned if we do go higher, the next supply zone would be between 250 and 325. So if we go higher than 180, that's where the next area of resistance I would anticipate to be.
Yep. Yes, Lynn,
Yes,
we
we
did
did.
catch that news. We mentioned that earlier when it broke. Here, I was just going to say, here you go on AMIX, looking like that was going to shake and bake and go right towards that 180 high.
It did go to the 180 high.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it looked like it's going like in real time
again?
right here. Again, they actually brought in an offer here at that 176. We'll see if that gets slapped here, but that looked like that was going to go right up to that 180 high.
Yeah, and the if you look on a daily chart, you can see where I'm seeing these areas of resistance and the moving averages. So if you went to and you put your 50-day SMA on, you can see how that was one of the targets I had. So
yeah, 50. So right up here in this chart, this is your 50-day SMA. That went right to it, just like you said there on AMIX. Real quick here, I know Cores was getting a mention. I can't bring up Cores in Trade the Pools. I'm going to do it right here in Pro. This actually looking like this is going for that intraday high here today. And remember, we made that high on the biggest volume stick of the day here on Cores. So watch for this to trade higher. You guys that have been on Core, I feel like we've been talking about this stock here for several weeks now. The folks that have been trading this, you guys did a great job. This stock has provided multiple opportunities. I think one of you in the chat, I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry for not being able to cite this correctly. You guys were basically saying this looks good over 10. It was ads under 10. So far, that's exactly what the chart is showing us here. Exactly what the chart is showing us. Moves under 10 were buyable dips. Now we go higher here on Cores. We're above the high here from the middle of June. This is looking pretty good. For all of you that have it. No position for me on this one, unfortunately.
Kevin, you're killing it. And Jay Rice saying SLG with information about why you need to trade price, not macro.
So what happened here? SLG green. What am I missing here on this one? Gone from 20 to 60 since the SMBY collapse.
Look further up.
Yeah. Quick story on why you need to trade price, not macro. Lots of macro calls for real estate to fall as they have to refinance at higher levels, etc. This is the largest property owner in NYC, and it has run SLG. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, this is actually, Jay, I'm glad that you brought that up. This was actually something that Tim Melvin said a lot about some of the REITs and the dividend payers. He said, look, some of the things that he had found were ones that aren't going anywhere. So despite all of the reports of this demise, can give you actually better entry on that. So good stuff here again, Jay.
What's interesting is that this is also, you can also easily draw a downtrend line with SLG from its highs back in September of 2018. Just draw it all through the highs that it keeps making, and it's rejected every time it gets this trend line. So we're almost there again. Potential to get rejected again as well, especially with the RSI as high as it is right now at 73.5.
INOD still at the highs here, 2045. Looks like that is going. Bitcoin. So we talked a little bit about Bitcoin earlier here. The Bitcoin price really kind of stalled out at about 63,400. You had a nice move over the weekend, kind of stalling out here today, not breaking down and might go higher. Coin here doing a really good job kind of holding the move here along with that. Hood doing exactly the same thing. So both of these are still on watch for a potential break. CYN is halted. Oh my gosh, this halted on a volume pop there too, Wiss. Good stuff there, CYN. Netflix at the highs there. Okay. We are rocking.
Yeah, another thing about Bitcoin and crypto in general, as it relates to coin, that's an exchange. So every time that there's big movement in these cryptos, that's essentially future transactional fees that the coin's going to be getting. That kind of helps lift the stock when you see when crypto moves in general. because it's just more revenue that's going to end up in coins pockets.
Spiro Bill mentioning Nike. We talked about that one a lot recently. Nike's selling off here, really has to hold this low from what was that, the 10th of July? To me, that's what, 71.5 here. I agree. This is at an important level. At some point, this is gonna, or I shouldn't say it has to. At some point, this should bounce here, but maybe not yet. Maybe not. We really don't want it to lose that low that it put in. RSI, here we go. Look at this. The RSI completely murked here on Nike. 2120. Huge oversold measurement here on Nike.
Yeah, still looks like it could go under 70. I mean, the 67 looks pretty interesting.
And remember, we had this range here, 50 to 65 for a potential buy zone here on Nike. Okay, good stuff there. I'm curious to know who was it that brought this up here real quick. Or Spiro. Let me know if you're trading this. Okay, folks, it is 10:30, and guess what? We have another surprise for you today. We have another special guest. First time here on Live Trading. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show Wolf Financial. Wolf, how you doing today, man? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Doing great. How's it going, guys?
It's going real good. Going real good here. So first of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your Monday to join here. For those of our viewers that maybe aren't familiar with you or where they can find you, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how they can maybe follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super active on Twitter. If you just go to Wolf_Financial on X, that's where you can see everything that we're doing. I host about 40 hours of live content every week. We also live trade throughout the mornings. We do analysis in the afternoons, stock picks in the evenings, more market analysis. We cover live earnings calls, pretty much all that stuff. So yeah, super active on Twitter. And if you're looking for other socials, you can find them just by going to the website as well, wolf.financial.
Okay, awesome. Well, you said that you're doing some live trading. I'm not going to waste any more time. What are you looking at here today? What are you trading here today, my man?
Yes, absolutely. So I have been in a couple of trades here today. Right now, I am inside of PLTR $35 leaps. These are for January 17th of 2025. PLTR set new 52-week highs today. It is close to them right now at $28.73. These calls are up about 45%. They were added back on the 2nd of July. I really do like PLTR here. I've actually been able to get closer and closer with the company. I should have an opportunity to chat with Alex Karp, I believe, over the next few months. And I think that what they're doing is really one of those first real world applications of AI. And so those that are going to capitalize on the AI boom, I do believe it's those that are going to actually be the ones bringing it into real world applications. And of course, having government contracts does not hurt. I also traded, and I'm already out of SOUN. SoundHound.
Yeah.
This was an AI trade from last week. It ran 40% in the past week. I traded two different sets of calls on this. I traded the $6 calls, which went into the money, and I sold right at the open today. And I also traded the $5 calls last week before those went into the money. So those went really well as well. Those are two trades that I've been in today, but I'll just give you a couple of others real quick. Amazon, really like Amazon here. I know that there's a Bezos wall up at 200, which is just shown through continuous selling, but Amazon retraced a little bit. My goal was to take it off the 21-day SMA, which is at 192.67. But it never made it down there. I still do like it here for continued upside. I think that the play here with Amazon is understanding that Jeff Bezos has a rather large position to sell 200, playing it off the bounces. So you play those 200 calls a week or 2 weeks out. Once you come down and start to bounce, you buy back in. It goes back to 200. You collect profit. Don't try to work yourself up into, oh, this is the time it's going to break through or anything along those lines. And I'll throw out one small cap play just because all the small cap people in my life are all hyped right now. TNA's up big. Everything's This is one of the craziest charts I've seen over the past year. You guys can tell me if you're familiar with it. It's ALAR. This is Alarum Technologies. It is up in the past year 1,200%. It just had one of its biggest retraces as well. It was up 1,800% at one point, retraced pretty hard over the past couple of weeks, month or so, and now is, I believe, looking to make that next move up if small caps are able to get that turnaround. We got a breakout in IWM and a breakout in TNA coming throughout the past week, so they are also on my radar.
Okay, real good stuff. First of all, you are absolutely amongst friends. This entire chat pretty much loves Palantir. So the fact that you started with that is about as perfect as it can possibly get. Soundhound has been we actually call that an ex-girlfriend, because that is a stock that we continue to day trade over and over and over again. We are familiar with ALAR, although I haven't traded this one here myself. I believe that there were several people from the chat that were buying this one up and trading this one over the last, I think, several months probably here. So really, really good stuff. Appreciate you bringing all that here to the group. We still have him there?
I don't know, unless he's holding that.
Yeah.
He was looking really good there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that we just had a little bit of an internet snafu there. You're all set there.
No, you're good. It's on my end. I can see my computer's running heavy this morning. I'm running a bunch of programs and stuff, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, all good. Okay. So one of the other things, you talked about the spaces that you do every day. And you talk about, you talked a little bit about your trading style here. What else do you do in the realm of finance that you can share with our viewers here?
Yeah, for sure. So I work with companies that are looking to get in touch with retail investors and essentially connect with them. This can be private companies, public companies, anything in that different range that's looking to connect with the audience. In addition to running my own live shows throughout the day, where we're hitting anywhere from usually 5,000 to 10,000 people a day, we also have a few other shows. So Jordan, who's another trader that we work with inside of the Wolf Circle, runs a great live trading show all day. That's another 15,000 to 20,000 people tuning in, and a bunch of others, to be quite honest, that I just essentially help people either to create content, to monetize content, to build out their shows, items along those lines. So yeah, it's everything within that world of finance that has to do with entertaining, educating, everything along those lines. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of people. I don't think people want to just sit around all day and do nothing and not read the news. I think we want to be entertained and we want to be educated. We want to learn new stuff every day and go home and tell it to other people. And so I just absolutely absorb that energy and try to put it out every day. But then, yes, there's of course a business side to it as well. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think traders, we're kind of a rare breed, right? Like we are constantly taking in new information every single day about a whole bunch of different individual companies as well as sectors and all of that. And we're trying to make the best decisions going forward there. I think to be a trader, you really kind of have to have that thirst for knowledge and that thirst really for financial freedom, right? Financial independence, being able to do all these things. Do you have any like favorite tip or anything for achieving financial freedom? Or is it just stocks and hodl?
Well, for sure. And financial freedom, to be honest, I don't think most people is going to come from the trading side, right? Even the best traders that I know still have a great long-term portfolio. And so it's an understanding of, first off, what you're doing for, fun, what you're doing to make the big bucks long-term and what's short-term. First, the number one way that I encourage people to build wealth is to take your emotions out of it by automating your investment strategy, right? Because the best investment strategy, transparently, is the one that you are going to stick to in the long term. Is the best one, right? It doesn't have to be like a one cut fits all. It's whatever you're going to stick to. So for me, being able to automate my investments, so halfway through the month, on the 15th of each month, I have a certain amount of money that's pulled out from my accounts, goes right into a few tax advantage accounts as well as brokerage. It then already knows what it's going to break down into, and it actually descays every day of that next 30 days until the next money gets pulled. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to touch it. And because of that, that position continually stacks over time and it goes into safe things. My biggest position is SPY. I don't think that that's, anything irregular. Now it's in different things. It's in like whatever it is, ITOT or whatever. But with that being kind of understood, I'm basically SPY, exactly, right? And obviously it's been doing pretty good over time, especially the last couple of years. That's for me where I like to teach people, is if you can remove those emotions from it, that's really, really great. I think trading, though, is an awesome way to stay in tune with the day-to-day of the market. And what I encourage people there is probably the same stuff that you're encouraging people. You never want a trade to be something that's going to keep you from sleeping. It should not be something that's making you nervous. If it is, there's a reason for that. You're either using too large size, you haven't educated yourself enough, you're not confident in the trade. The best trades are the ones where, like this Palantir one right now, right? I've gotten into the trade. I now have a cushion of 40% that I'm sitting on. The calls don't expire until January. So I've got 6 months basically to not have to worry about time decay. And I can just let this, baby ride, right? And even if it was to come all the way back down to zero, size it accordingly, that it still would not be the end of the world, right? And so that's, I think, the best type of trades that you can get yourself into. People get really caught up in trading weeklies, and they do work for some people. But I always find that when I give myself more time, it does work out better.
Okay. I think all of that stuff, real smart stuff here. Chat, absolutely loving it. Awesome advice to automate it with their 100%. 13, you got anything here for Wolf?
I had a question for him earlier, and I can't seem to remember what it was. Ryan, I think I voiced it to you earlier. Do you remember what it was? I thought it was something that could be helpful for new traders and traders that are looking for more of a rules-based approach. But I don't remember what that.
We've had kind of a busy morning here. So,
Yeah.
I think that you were talking about just like financial freedom, different ways to kind of manage your own personal finances, like getting a financial advisor, as well as staying on top of the news and actively participating in all of that stuff. It was along those lines.
Yeah, so I think that's why I'm having trouble remembering it, because I think in your discussion there, you just kind of already touched on it. Yeah,
you touched on a lot of that stuff there.
Yeah, that's a good point there too. I think people are a little bit wary of financial advisors nowadays. They've all been pitched them as, snake oil salesmen and stuff like that. But there's a reason that, a lot of people don't go and try to do their taxes by themselves, right? They don't go and try to fix the door that broke in their house by themselves, right? It's you probably could DIY it, but it doesn't hurt to have an expert do it. And if you can find someone that's, very affordable, reasonable what they're doing, it never hurts to get some help in the finances space. So I encourage people, even if it's just not even for the investments themselves, but for your larger investment decisions, right? Should I go and buy this house right now, right? How should I start saving up for my kids' college? It just never hurts to get a bit of advice.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've been saying for a long time is that there's nobody on this earth that cares more about your financial future than you. So get involved, be a part of it. But along those lines, definitely a good idea to have a professional in your corner to help you through some of those big decisions that you make in life, like saving for your kids' college or buying that house, making that big investment.
And when it comes to financial advisors, I usually try to direct people towards finding somebody who's a licensed fiduciary, so that they are actually legally bound to be acting in your best interest.
Yeah. I think these things are all really helpful. The number one thing, though, that I love is when I ask my friends, what are you invested in long term? And they tell me that they just have 2 or 3 ETFs in there. I go, awesome. You are killing it if you are confident in that, because I'm totally fine with people that want to have 10, 20 individual stock names. But if you are someone that says, I've got SPY, QQQ, and VTI in there, and I'm chilling and I'm good, right? And you're confident in it, I'd love to hear that, right? If you don't have that itch to add more, great. If you do have that itch to add more, let's make sure that they're quality names, right? That are going to benefit you long-term. If they're going to be high beta risk names, let's make sure it's maybe 10% of your portfolio that's put into areas like that, right? If you're going to go and trade, let's take 5 to 10% again of that entire portfolio, and let's put that into the trading column, and let's build rules in, right? When are you going to get out of the trade? That's the biggest thing, and to be honest, going into this is understanding, right? For PLTR, whatever else the trade is, knowing when you're going to get out is just as important as when you're going to get in. I'm sure you guys can attest to this. This is probably the biggest issue I found with people that come and trade in our spaces is we take a trade, they go, oh my gosh, love it, take the trade, and then they're sitting in the trade, and they could be up 10% or down 10%, and they're freaking out either way because they have no idea where they're going to get out. They don't know when they're going to take profit. They don't know where they're going to cut. They just got in because someone said, I like this trade, right? And that's what I think is the biggest learning curve, is understanding when you're going to get out before you go in. And so for me, whatever it is, this level, let's say I was going to take the ALRR trade. If I was to get in, well, I would want to get out right around the 37.50 level, 38. And so people will go, well, all-time highs are 46. Why are you trying to get out there? Because I'm not trying to, ride this to all-time highs. It's a trade for me, right? I'm looking to make that move back up to where resistance is and get at that point. I don't need, the $10 trade. I maybe just want to take 5, right? And so I think that as people start to think more and more like that, you stack up more wins. It builds confidence too over time.
All of those things that you just mentioned, I think my favorite part of that is all of those things that you just mentioned are things that help you remove emotion from the trade. If you have a plan from the beginning, if you're able to stick to your plan, if you're able to execute your plan, you don't have lofty goals that are above all-time highs, it's going to make you emotional if the stock's testing that area right there. All of that stuff, super, super smart. So really, really good stuff there. Okay. You have any guests or interviews coming up here that you're excited for that you want to shout out?
Yeah, for sure. So today, probably nothing like too crazy. I'm going to be doing my regular slate of spaces just throughout the day. If people jump in at any point, Wolf_Financial. I'll be live all hours today besides 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Outside of that, I'll be live till noon really, and then till about 7:10 p.m. Eastern tonight. I do a show for those that are interested every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. I bring on 8 professional traders, people that trade full time. This is how they make their living, and they all come on and they give 3 minutes each of their thoughts on the market sentiment, and then they give 2 stock picks that they like just for this week as trades. And it's one of our most popular shows. People love it. You come to it, you're going to walk away with 16 individual stock picks. Nobody's allowed to take the same pick as anyone else. People do often take levered picks as well, but it is just shares. There's no options in it. So I think it simplifies it a little bit for retail. It's a really, really fun show. And then outside of that, just a couple things I put on people's radar this week. I think Tesla's in for a big week. We're seeing, honestly, a lot of names that probably do well underneath the Trump presidency starting to move very well today. What's Tesla up? Like 6.5% today? And DJT
exactly.
and Geo and crypto, right? There's a new, actually, I was looking at it. There's not a lot of trading on it yet, but BTCL is brand new. This is the first, it came out last week on Wednesday, the first double leveraged big spot Bitcoin ETF, BTCL. And it's doing pretty bonkers today, obviously, with where Bitcoin's coming out from. You can see this thing just came out and it's soaring. So I'm watching names like this that are probably going to do well, if people are leaning this way. And so tomorrow we are going to do a deep dive into Tesla at 12 p.m. Eastern. We had on like a big sports podcaster who's really into Tesla last week that came on for it, and some others. So I just put that on everyone's radar. It's one of our favorite shows of the week. Stock picks tonight, and then Tesla deep dive tomorrow.
Okay. Awesome stuff, man. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day here today. Again, that is Wolf_Financial on X. Really appreciate you. Hopefully we'll have you back here.
Yeah, I'm happy to come on anytime. I appreciate y'all for reaching out. I definitely love talking trading. As you can see, no shortage of tickers on my mind at any point in time. So yeah, just let me know.
All right. Sounds good, my man. Have a great rest of your Monday. Stay green, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. That is Wolf Financial. Again, just trying to bring you as many quality guests as we can. Those spaces are awesome. Definitely check that out. We are thrilled to have it. So, okay. And he's giving you Tesla. I mean, a lot of the stocks that he was talking about are stocks that we are taking a look at every single day. Yeah, absolutely love to see that. And I cannot stress enough. I was sitting here so thrilled that, he's saying remove emotions from the trade, do all of that stuff. All of that really, really helpful. Jay, loved your comment here. Good to hear this guy's friends own mostly SPY and not AMC, GME, and Chewy type names. Totally with you on that. So, okay, real good stuff there from our guest. Thank you, Alyssa, for helping facilitate that as well.
AMIX, this one's halted to the downside now.
Okay, right through VWAP, halted to the downside there. 62,000 on that offer as well.
I don't want to suggest that there's more meat on this bone, but if you're looking to continue to trade this, see what happens down at $1 to 105, where we have this demand zone. If we might get some support there. No guarantee, just something to watch for if you're still trading this one.
Okay, what is everyone else taking a look at here today? CYN halt down. Let's check that here real quick as well. Right to the VWAP and halted on CYN. Meta, Easy Mike. It's great to see you here this morning. Mentioning Meta here. That is up off the lows there on Meta. Aeon, that was one of the earlier ones. This did go above that impulse high. Check that out. 284, your intraday high here. It's looking like this might actually go to 3 here today. Lynn, the more guests you have, the more it validates the awesome work you guys are doing. Look, we're going to try and bring you as much intelligence or intel, as they say, from anywhere that we can. Really appreciate that you guys like it. That's really awesome. We will keep trying to bring on high quality guests here. INOD looking like that might be going for 21 here on INOD. Wow, what a slow grind. This has been awesome here today. Coin, that's also at highs. So that continued to go through that intraday high there. MSTR, I'm guessing, did the same thing. Indeed, it did.
Yeah, looks like those Trump names are starting to turn around after some selling. I don't know how high they're going to go on this movement since volume's pretty low. But I'm seeing DJT and DATs turning around. Not sure that funds really wanting to join the fun, but it's
look. We said from the outset that probably wasn't the best one here today, and it's showing us that is the case.
Yeah,
no question. DJT, we'll see if it goes to his 40.75 here. FFIE being brought up here in the chat. That is a penny stock, maybe the penny stock du jour. 2 upside moves here. FFIE,
another return of the meme stonk names. Hey, remember Car?
Avis Rent-A-Car?
Yeah. It's still working. Now the next level is to get over the 50-day SMA.
We are right there too. I got that at 111.25. We're at 109.50 here. We'd like to see it close above that level.
So mentioned that this wasn't something I mentioned here on live trading. I mentioned this in happy hour back on Friday the 5th of July. Thinking this might have an inverse head and shoulders resolution here. So far, it's playing out. We need to see it get back up to 124. So it's got a distance still.
Okay. Let's take a look here at Tesla, one of the big movers here from today. This actually holding above its pre-market highs. We'll see if this has another leg in it, perhaps in the afternoon here today.
And just so we're clear, I think Avis Budget Group, they have some pretty bad fundamentals, but their short interest is it's quite high. So I think there might be some squeezing happening here, but I don't think this is the most well-rounded out company, we'll just say.
GS looking like it's going back for those 490 highs that it made right off the open. Bitcoin at the highs here, so that's holding higher here. Oil actually at the lows here. Oil down a little bit. I know you guys were kind of kicking around. You guys, I mean the chat here, kind of kicking around a potential oil-Bitcoin relationship. Not sure what that relationship is, but those appear to be diverging, at least today anyway. What else you folks seeing out there? The names that we've been taking a look at. Looks like everything's kind of slowed down here. Still having a really, really good day, though. See where the SPY's at here. SPY back up towards that high. Remember, 563.67, currently at 563.35. We'll see if we've got the juice to get above that. Q's here at the highs, IWM at the highs, and VIX pinned right here at 1285. So you got the entire market looking like it's kind of moving up here, at least taking a look at these averages.
I was just saying, it looks like there's some bullish activity happening across the entire market. It looks like SPY is knocking on the door of the all-time high again here.
KB looking at ticker CIFR here. This actually, Cipher Mining is another one of those Bitcoin names. This here at the highs. Lauren, good morning. You mentioned an SQ. Someone else mentioned Block here this morning. Nice little dip and rip there on Block. UPST, haven't taken a look at this stock for a while here. Upstart, this is actually a pretty decent daily chart here as well. Possible. Yeah, it did. But looking at the daily chart here, you got a possible resistance area here. Let's call it $30. Got it at 31.31. And we actually have a gap that doesn't fill till about $33. So Upstart, if it can get above this level here, maybe it fills that gap. Definitely shown us the strength here today. AEON looking like that is moving higher again. You guys are all over this great stuff here from our chat. Look, this is an example of how great our chat can be. This was not on anyone's list here this morning until Bex mentioned it from the chat. Now we're getting multiple moves here, pushes to the highs, 330 printing there on AEON. This is a great call here. Great call. This gap fills right about here, by the way, on that daily chart. Maybe 350-ish right in there. Might have some resistance at this area on AEON. Take care of yourself, Lynn. We will see you on happy hour later today. Really good stuff here this morning.
I'm looking at Upstart on the daily. The chart looks, I see the gap that you're talking about. Everything looks great. It's just that the RSI is so extended. I want to see this breakout and I want to see that gap fill. I just don't know that this is going to do that with such a high RSI, you know? That's the concern I'd had with this one. Not to say that this won't gap fill. It looks like it's definitely going to do that at some point. I just don't know that that's going to be right now or not. And it might be. It could happen and then fill the gap and come right back in. But keep in mind the RSI is really a high up there. Sorry.
All good. Lion Atlas mentioning Huma. We mentioned this one here this morning. This dipped to the view app and actually went higher. Now it looks like we're taking the next leg higher here on Huma. This is Humasite. Actually, might be trying to go for that 10 spot. STNI, that was another big mover here this morning. I tell you, we got a lot of fireworks early, and this thing has kind of come back in. Smoked Tuna, if you're still out there, I'm curious to know if you think this has any more juice maybe left in it. Maybe keep this one on watch for the afternoon in case we get a volume spike there. Does look like our MACD histogram is about to flip positive, and those signal lines are both starting to pitch up a little bit. So we'll see if we get a crossover there. SCNI.
Yeah, I'm getting a mention here from Robert that PLTR at the highs. Looking to see what happens at 29.50. That's the big number for me right now.
SOUN, remember Wolf on that. That was awesome to hear him that he had traded this. I know our group has just absolutely pounded SOUN over these months. Awesome to hear that. STI done for the morning. Okay, so Smoke Tuna. So you think SCNI done here for the morning? Let me ask you think this has any potential chance at maybe having a pop here in the afternoon? And by the way, folks, we are 4 minutes to 11 o'clock here. We are going to be sending you over to Trader Bacon. Now, Trader Bacon is going to have Cameron from Apex Trader as a special host. And they will also have a guest on. So be sure to check out Trader Bacon here today. You don't have to do anything. I will automatically send you over there in the next 4 minutes when we're done here. Really good day here from our group. We are hitting it all here today. Good on the day trades, good on the swing trades. You just love to see it. You love to see the group helping one another out here. Happy Monday, folks.
The only time when Mondays can be happy.
Look, for the longest time, until I started becoming a market junkie, I swear Mondays were my least favorite day of the week. Now, that is the opposite. Give me that news flow. Show me what's going on a Monday.
And it gets even better when football starts. OXY at the high. Take a look at that one. Okay, so trying to close back over the 200-day SMA on this one.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
GL, Lion Atlas mentioning GL here. Remember, that's that former short report, multiple short report on this name. This one is grinding higher here. Boy, oh boy, that initial short report trade here on GL, that was a monster. Monster.
It's 2x since the short report.
DKNG, love this trading idea here as well. And I think I might, we'll see where I'm at later today. Might actually start legging into this position later today, especially since we're taking so many gains here on ticker VAL. That continuing to move to the highs here, by the way. Tom, you know what, Tom? Dust it off. Tomorrow is a new day, and we'll be here to try and help you with that. Good thing we did well in soccer.
Stay positive.
Yeah, stay positive. But I think he's all telling a joke because I'm pretty sure that England law. I'm not catching something there. But good to have you, Tom. Tomorrow's a new day. We'll be right back at it again tomorrow. Don't you worry about that. How did CYN do, by the way? We took a look at that. That spiked here. Okay, it started to drop off now.
Phrasing, J. Rice, phrasing.
How is Reddit doing here today? Reddit at the highs. Okay,
It's new all-time highs.
We didn't have any more news on that loose and wide, but new highs. Yeah, I don't think we had any news there on that.
Well, let's see here. Well, they have a little bit of news. They did announce their. I've noticed this sometimes when they announce a company when it announces their when they're going to have their ER. And it's unconfirmed previously. I've seen some companies get a little bit of movement from that. Doesn't always happen, but it's something to watch for.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they confirmed it. It's actually going to happen. It's actually going to happen.
They're going to report staying in the game.
Jay Rice, you're mentioning last week there was a lot of call buying on Reddit. I think that was one of the names that we shouted out last week while watching the call flow. Jay, this is also why we watch that so often here. Do whatever we can. Whatever we can determine from that call line. Okay, folks, it is 11 o'clock. We're going to send you over to Trader Bacon. Really good stuff here today, 13. Thanks for everything. Remember, Cameron from Apex will be on with Trader Bacon. They're also going to have a guest, so be sure to stick around. 13, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, all right?
You too. Same with everybody else. Have a good day.
Indeed, I second what 13 said. Have a great rest of your day, team, and we will see you tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe.